infinity and beyond!
From tiny ants and cute little robots to big scary monsters, giant red pandas, and literal superheroes, good guys come in all shapes and sizes. And Pixar's created some of our generation's most memorable heroes. I'm Keefe Nossi with Wicked Binge, and this is every Pixar hero, selfish to most heroic. First up are the selfish heroes. These are heroes who are selfish with their own goals, but are still reliable when it counts. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're bad. It's just that you started on the wrong foot before getting better. It's just human nature after all. Starting this list off is Soul 22. This soul has been stuck in the U seminar for years due to being uncooperative and wanting to experience Earth. She spent her past mocking and biting back at her teachers whenever they tried to teach her about Earth.
Stop talking! My unconscious mind hates you!
She even tries to enlist an army to stop souls from going to Earth. Sure, it's because Earth keeps getting her friends and her army ends up getting inspired by her to complete their Earth passes, and this does lead her to getting self-conscious about how she has no purpose, explaining more of her anger, but her desire to keep her friends from going to Earth and living their own lives is insanely selfish. It took until she possessed Joe Gardner's body to finally realize just why Earth is so special. With such a long rebellious streak planning on causing trouble for as many people as possible, she ends up getting this low. Hope that new body leads to her being more kind. Up next after the least good hero is Merida. Hey, we didn't rank her at the bottom. Good for her. Seriously, we said it once, then twice, and every other time Brave is mentioned. Merida is one of the most selfish Disney princesses to date. True, she's put in an unfair situation with her freedom and married life being at stake, but her growing anger at her mother and her plan to change her leading to her getting turned into a bear is a rough start. Plus, why wasn't she more specific when she meant change her mother? Anyway, while she does grow into a better and more courageous person in the end, her rocky start and taking a good while to get to where she is now is what sinks Merida here. Somebody suffered a blowout. Lightning McQueen is getting ranked the third worst spot. Thinking back, lightning didn't strike twice for him. Sure, in the first movie, he learns to slow down and enjoy the simple things in life and stop thinking about himself like he has been doing for the first half. However, in the sequels, he pretty much keeps relearning this lesson. Cars 2 has him falling out with Mater after the latter accidentally made him lose a race due to insane circumstances, and learning why he should hear his friend out and stop being selfish. The same in Cars 3, where his ego to beat Jackson Storm momentarily pushes away his coach, Cruz, leading to him realizing he has to let go of his selfish nature and apologize. Sure, people make mistakes on repeat and deserve forgiveness if they are truly sorry, but in terms of a fictional character, it just makes him look daft and egotistical. I'm sorry, Lightning, but you're getting sent to the pit stop for now. Up next is the star student, Mei Lee. Now, we're entering the territory of characters who are more normal and natural and less selfish. She's a student who's proud of how smart and close she is with her mother. That said, she slowly starts to yearn for life outside of her academic pursuits. From getting crushes to wanting to go to concerts, she yearns to grow and be a free girl, even if she doesn't realize it yet. However, once she discovers her red panda form, she gets more and more angry and desperate to hold on to her former older life. She does get a bit more selfish with this new power, from wanting to monopolize it to get money, forcing others to leave her alone by using her red panda strength and even ditching her friends to stay on her mother's good side. She does eventually decide to keep her red panda side and go to the concert to apologize to her friends and help her mother reconcile with her past, but really, she's just a normal teenager at the end of the day, which is just what she wanted. Next is someone a bit fishy. Luca. The sea monster has been underneath the sea for too long and yearns to learn more about what happens on the surface. Befriending Alberta, the two of them meet and team up with Giulia to win the Porto Rosso Cup to win a Vespa to travel the world. While inherently friendly and helpful to his friends, Luca does have a selfish moment in not giving himself up when Alberta tries to force his hand. He does end up apologizing to him and making amends, but we did have to sink him a bit for that stunt. Next, we're seeing what Remy is cooking up. This French rat stands out from his family of other rats by enjoying the finer things in life and French cuisine. He's more into cooking than just eating food from the trash piles. When he gets a chance to cook, he doesn't think much about Linguini at first, even planning originally on ditching him after Linguini saved him from drowning. He does come back to help him learn cooking skills, but after Linguini grows a bit of an ego, decides to fight back by leading his family back to the restaurant to eat all of the food. Given how Linguini was going there to apologize to Remy for his ego, it's a bit unjustified, to put it lightly. Still, he does come back and leads his family in creating the perfect dish for the food critic Anton Ego, eventually getting his own restaurant with Linguini working there, so he is still reliable when needed. Moving on to Alberto. Left behind by his father, he's been left to his own devices, more or less. He was more than willing to take Luca under his wing, teaching him what he knew about the surface world. Sure, his knowledge is a bit more shallow than he wants to admit, but it's still a genuine attempt. He is always looking out for Luca, even exposing himself to try and make a point that the humans would still hunt them if they're found out. Even after Luca bailed on him, realizing that the rain would expose him alongside Luca apologizing earlier, he still goes after him to make sure his buddy is safe from the sea monster hunters. Overall, he's a bit nicer than one would expect at first glance. Getting served Served next is a plate of linguini. Linguini is just a regular chef who wants to be seen as good. Once he finds out that Remy is the one who cooked up the soup that everyone thought he made, he decides to not only spare Remy, but offer to let him stay in his house and even buy him groceries so he doesn't have to keep on stealing them.
But don't steal. I'll buy some spices.
Even if they are just a couple small things. He's incredibly trusting of Remy, letting him pilot his hair like a puppet while holding sharp objects. Sure, he does get a bit selfish once he finds out that he's the son of Gusteau and gets popular, but he does try to make amends to Remy, and accepts his apology once he comes back to help. His goals may be selfish in nature, but he's still a pretty nice and decent chef. Out of his toy form, Buzz Lightyear the human is not as friendly nor heroic as his other self. This Space Ranger is dedicated to the job, trying to be the best of the Space Rangers he can be. However, after an accident that strands his crew on the planet, he focuses on trying to achieve hyperspace and getting everyone off the planet. However, with everyone already happily settling there after a century, he goes off the grid and keeps trying to perfect that formula to create the hyperspace fuel crystal, trying to keep his promise from all those years ago. The real thing keeping him down this far is his habit of working by himself. Even when he's working with the other Rangers here in his team, he prefers going off by himself.
This is just goodbye?
Affirmative. Goodbye.
And the very idea of being forced to watch over another recruit annoys him, even when he's helping them. This is especially awkward when he's even tense with his makeshift team of rookies, talking about his own past experiences as a rookie. You think that would make him more accepting of those who struggle to find their footing, but no. Still, he does grow to appreciate them and help them, so he's still good, just not as good as his toy self. Floating into our next spot is Carl. Once a happily married husband to Ellie, life has beaten him down with his wife dying and his new house now at risk of being repossessed by the government. Wanting to finally fulfill his wish alongside his wife's request, he uses a bunch of balloons to force his house up into the sky to fly to South America and rest the house at Paradise Falls. He's a bit of a pill and is more emotional towards his house than others, focusing on stopping Charles from burning it rather than saving Kevin. Truthfully, it's hard to be angry at him for his anger and blind desire to deliver the house to where Ellie wanted at Paradise Falls, as he's focused on preserving and respecting what he believes to be his dead wife's wishes. It's when he finally goes over the scrapbook he and Ellie made together that he discovers her desire for him to never be stuck in the past and to always go out on new adventures, that he realizes his mistake and goes after Carl and Kevin and accepts Doug as his new pet. He may have experienced most of his life already, but Carl's still got a good several years of good deeds left in him. Next up is our lowest ranking Toy Story main character, Bo Peep. In the first two movies, she served as an anchor for getting Woody to stop being paranoid about everything, from worrying about not being Andy's favorite toy anymore to even losing his hat. However, it's in Toy Story 4 where she gets the most development. After being sold from place to place, she learned how to defend and live by herself and how to survive Gabby and her army of henchmen. This has led to her getting a more independent streak, which isn't a bad thing. But with how she acts towards Woody, with her not thinking of warning Woody about the key needed before showing him the cabinet where Forky's being held, forgetting all about how toys can make a good impact on a kid's life, and giving up on Forky after realizing he was just made up of trash, things are not too great with her. However, Woody's dedication to saving Forky because of how much he makes Bonnie happy alongside Gabby getting a second chance at making a kid happy makes Bo Peep reevaluate her opinions. Afterward, with Woody sticking with her, she decides to make her new goal in life with the two of them helping toys find homes. While Bo Peep is one of the more surprisingly hot-headed characters here, she's still a good toy. And speaking of hot-headed, let's talk about Ember. The newest Pixar heroine in Elemental, Ember is focused on living up to her father's legacy and becoming the next owner of his shop. However, with her anger issues with customers, she ends up accidentally bursting a pipe and flooding the shop, bringing in Wade to close the shop. Ember ends up on a wild goose chase to keep the shop open. However, during her adventure, she finds out that she may have feelings for Wade and wants to go on her own path. While she's going around her family's backs and lying to them, it's because she's afraid of them both hurting Wade or taking the chance to run the shop away. Eventually, she decides to follow her gut and go with the flow, or rather the Wade, and become a glass craftswoman. She's a good woman and a good story about learning that your feelings are valid in terms of respecting your elders while going on your own path. As the first of the Lightfoot brothers, we have Ian Lightfoot. The younger brother of the two, Ian never really knew nor even saw his father, instilling a desire inside of him to somehow meet him. On his birthday, he gets a chance thanks to a gift of his being a magical staff, a phoenix gem, and a visitation spell. Things are looking up, at least until Barley interrupts him, and then things go wrong. Ian and Barley go on a road trip to try and get another phoenix gem, with Ian slowly learning to bond and get closer to Barley. Sure, he still saw him as a screw-up and even fought with him after Barley's antics kept putting them one step behind. However, he does slowly realize that Barley became a father figure for him and even sacrifices his chance to meet with his father for Barley to properly say goodbye to him. He's a nice kid and capable of learning from his mistakes. On stage next is Miguel. A wannabe guitar player, he's stuck in a family that's against music because of a personal issue with a former family member. After getting his guitar destroyed by his family, he ends up stealing a guitar from the dead, pushing him down a bit. However, throughout the movie, Miguel learns that there's more to life than his desire to perform for the crowd, becoming more respectful of his family, with them returning their respect. He even ends up helping Hector not only reconcile with his family in the afterlife, but also helps his family in the living to remember Hector and how Coco still treasures him. It's a family story that leads to character growth from Miguel alongside his family. Sticking with the musical theme, let's talk about Joe Gardner. As a school teacher, his passion lies mostly within music. Teaching his students about music, he's happy to finally get a chance to play for a real crowd, only to end up accidentally dying. Understandably on edge, he's focused on not only trying to get back to his body, but also to get back into his own body after 22 ends up inside of his body by accident. Thanks to this experience though, and 22 forging her own path as she learns about life, Joe ends up learning more about the life that he's missing out on. Even if it does take a while for him to realize it after a fight with 22, he does eventually realize that living is reason enough to stay alive, and goes back to the U seminar to properly apologize to 22 and give her the Earth pass she earned back, before willingly going to the great beyond. Sure, he does get another chance at life, but he still was willing to accept his death in the end, so he gets points for that. We hope that this second chance leads to an even brighter future for Joe. Ending our first category with a scare, we have Mike Wazowski. Now, sure, it looks like he's more focused on himself in Monsters, Inc. and University whenever he's working on a team. However, he's more of a team player than you may think. As Sully's partner, Mike is the brains behind the operation, quickly picking up on skills of others and learning how to best use them. Wanting to be a scarer himself, but not being scary enough, even though that moment he scared the dummy in the final round of the scare games legitimately felt scary, he's able to at least be on the sidelines and help out Sully as they climb the ranks in Monsters Inc. When the place switched to Laugh Power and Mike became Senior Co-President and Chief Executive Vice Deputy Administrative Director of Comedy Resources Management, he was surprisingly effective at trying to keep the Laugh Power flowing, alongside ensuring that the workers were happy, even if he did end up using Sully's money to help Power for some amenities. Still, he's a good friend and a reliable boss. Which brings us to our next category, the do-gooders. These heroes want to be good and be friendly towards others, but are either limited in their mindset or vices that get in their way. At the very start of this tier, we have Joy. Yeah, in terms of our Pixar videos, she's somehow both a hero and a villain. Granted, she's still ranked very low on the villain list, but it's still bizarre. Sure, she is more focused on keeping Riley happy while minimizing the other emotions in control, especially sadness. That said, this is all part of the story, with everyone, not just Joy, realizing that each emotion has a valid place in Riley's brain. And she is still genuinely trying to help, as shown by her doing her best to keep Riley happy after so many years since she was first born, and only getting into trouble once the big move happened. The problem is that it took looking at a memory that shows the importance of sadness and happiness to finally realize that sadness has a place within Riley's mind. It's a story about growing up and learning how to become more emotionally stable, so her character and growth here makes sense. Could have been better, but that's just part of growing up. Swimming in after her, we have the clownfish, Marlin. This neurotic father has witnessed his wife and 99% of his children still in eggs dying before his eyes. With that in mind, it makes sense how this traumatized him into being a helicopter parent for Nemo, or in this case, a submarine parent.
Dad, you're not gonna freak out like you did at the petting zoo, are you?
Sure, his parenting style can be a bit overbearing, but he does truly care for Nemo, and that's clear. When Nemo gets captured by divers, Marlin goes through sharks, jellyfish, anglerfish, heck, he almost gets eaten multiple times just to try and save Nemo. Even then, he still also tries to keep Dory safe on his journey, even going back into the jellyfish horde to try and save her after she gets zapped. Sure, in the sequel he's harsh with Dory after surviving the Humboldt squid, but frankly, after doing everything to save Nemo and Dory flat out ignoring Marlin's instructions to keep quiet over and over again, Dory endangering Nemo's life with her antics makes it easy to understand Marlin's anger. Even then, he still goes after Dory to not only ensure she's safe, but also to apologize for his outburst. As a fish capable of swimming against the current to protect not only his own son, but also his friend, he truly does earn a spot here. For our second of the Onward brothers, we have Barley Lightfoot. Sure, Barley may not show that he truly cares all that much, being too focused and wrapped up in his fantasy game lingo and thinking to show his love, but he is truly a good brother. He's more than happy for his brother's successes and lets him know how much he treasures him. He accompanies him and his father's legs all over the land to collect the Phoenix Gem to fully revive his father for a day. Along the way, he keeps teaching Ian to use his magic to its fullest. With the flashbacks in the film, it's shown that Barley is pretty much a father figure for Ian, teaching him to do all sorts of things, even going through a to-do list of things he wanted to do with his dad. Sure, Barley's ideas and forcefulness to stick to the quest theme can cause some rift when being willing to further explain his ideas on a more neutral ground, and cutting back on the role-playing terms and logic would be better, but he still does treasure Ian and his father and wants to do everything in his might to keep them safe. Could go for some leveling up, but as he is now, he's still a good hero. Opening the door to the next member here, we have the top scarer, Sully. While he seems like a monster who's just interested in scaring others at first, his life gets turned on its head when meeting Boo. At first, he's utterly terrified of Boo, thinking that all children are toxic. However, eventually he starts to grow fond and affectionate towards her, playing along with her and being scared of himself when he realizes he accidentally scared her. After getting banished, he races through the human worlds to find a door that can get him home, and tears off the scream extractor to rescue Boo and bring her home. Despite his college years showing him as an arrogant jock, he was able to grow out of this phase and become best friends with Mike Wazowski. Along with Mike, he leads the Monsters Inc. company into a new child-friendly company that uses laughter instead of screams to power the world, with Sully not wanting more children scared like Boo was. He's dedicated to making a better world for both human children and monster kind. Sully's a true innovator and a great monster to be close to. Going back in time, we get to Arlo. Sure, he's a bit of a coward and always scared of everything, but we were way too harsh on him the first time. He's still only a kid who just saw his father die right in front of his eyes, and now he's stuck with one person who he thinks is responsible for killing his father. Still, he soon learns how to not only stop feeling fear, but grow to spot and realize that he isn't truly at fault. On his journey, he learns from other dinosaurs how to grow and become more selfless, and grows to become a father figure to Spot, protecting him from Thunderclap and his cronies, even going up against a flood that looks similar to the one that killed his father. He may have started his journey as a scared kid who hadn't even reached his teen years yet, but with his desire to become the man of the family after his father died, and Arlo forcing himself to become more and more brave, we really did a disservice to him the first time, so here we are. Finally, we get to the OG Pixar protagonist, Sheriff Woody.
Reach for the sky.
This toy is just as iconic and widely known as being the first hero in a Pixar film. Starting his journey in the first Toy Story, Woody is the well-respected and loved leader of the bedroom, keeping the other toys happy, in line, up to date, and satisfied with anything stressing them. Of course, Buzz's arrival forces Woody to learn to accept that he won't always be the top toy, and he struggles with that by trying to push Buzz behind the desk, only to knock him out the window. Eventually, he grows to respect Buzz, ensuring that he makes it back to Andy safe and sound. In Toy Story 2, he thinks about abandoning Andy to live in the museum with the rest of his Roundup crew so they wouldn't be forced to live in the dark waiting for another Woody, before deciding to try and bring them home to play with Andy. Toy Story 3 has him going back to the daycare once he hears about how terrible of a person Lotso is, wanting to keep his fellow toys safe. He even helps out Lotso in the dump, not stooping to his level of cruelty. And of course, in Toy Story 4, after spending so long to get Forky back to Bonnie, even sacrificing his voice box for him, he realizes that he can have a greater purpose in helping other toys meet new owners, and decides to go with his girlfriend, Bo Peep, to stay at the carnival and to help the toys be given out in secret. While he may have had a rough start at first and has some moments of being too close-minded and needed help to see the bigger picture, Woody's still worthy of being everyone's favorite deputy. Did we already put her here? Either way, next up is the blue tang Dory. This blue innocent fish popped up in Finding Nemo, wanting to help Marlin save Nemo. The problem is that she has short-term memory loss, meaning that she keeps forgetting about stuff right after being told what to do.
Did I forget again?
No, sweetie.
Despite this memory gap, she inherently wants to be a good and friendly fish. Even when she was young, she wanted to give her mother a purple shell because she knew she loved them. As an adult, Dory still has her memory issues, and they do lead to some problems when trying to find Nemo or her parents, but she's still able to help, be it by reading and remembering the address on the diver's goggles, speaking whale and helping Marlin get to Sydney, and of course her just keep swimming mantra. Her positive attitude can rub off on others, helping them either escape the Marine Life Institute, helping Marlin get closer and closer to finding Nemo, or just generally brightening up their day. Despite her memory problems causing some problems for others, Dory is still not only a great fish, but a trustworthy friend. Next up on stage is Hector. When we first meet him, he appears to be a dodgy character trying to go back to the world of living for some reason, leading to him dodging security. However, it turns out that he has a genuinely good explanation. In life, he was a musician who wanted to make a name for himself. He eventually did want to return home and be part of the family to spend time with his daughter Coco, but got poisoned by Ernesto before he could make it back. Since then, he's been trying to reconnect with his family, but they all hate him, thinking that he abandoned them when that couldn't be further from the truth. He's there for Miguel to help him along in the land of the dead, not even caring if he lied to him, wanting him to just be safe, and going all the way to Ernesto's mansion to save Miguel. It's clear and easy to see that Hector is the true family man and father Ernesto never was. Finally, at the deep end of the pool here on this tier, we have the other elemental hero, and I'm not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Wade. This building inspector is dedicated to the job and is pretty emotional while doing so. Even Even when he has to hand out tickets to close Ember's shop, he's not enjoying this part of the job, and when Ember talks about her past and history, he takes this as a chance to help her out, trying to stop the ticket from closing the shop down. From leading Ember to the higher-ups in his business to being there with her to help repair the flood door, he's always supportive of her. He's also able to help her with keeping the shop up and suggesting she form her own career choices, showing very clear care and desire to keep her happy. He's able to help her see the Vivisteria flowers and rescue her during the flood, even letting himself die to keep her safe. Granted, he was able to be brought back due to the whole water cycle thing we learned in elementary school, but he's still a nice and sweet friend to have around. Finally, we arrive at our last category, the bona fide heroes. These heroes are heroic down to their cores, only wanting what's best for everyone involved. Starting up this section, we have the misunderstood emotion, sadness. Now, sure, at the start, she's pretty much just hanging around in the background, more willing to let others do things. This is because she and all the other emotions believe that sadness is something Riley shouldn't experience, period. After an accident sends her and Joy outside into Riley's mindscape, the two of them work together to try and get back, protecting Riley's core memories. However, during this trip, Joy slowly realizes that sadness and encouraging people to be open about their emotions and not bottling anything up is helpful. From being willing to listen to Bing Bong's troubles to seeing Riley lose a hockey game before being encouraged by her friends and family, the whole journey leads Joy to realizing that sadness is important to Riley just as much as she and the other emotion are. And sure enough, once back, sadness is able to stop Riley from leaving and return home, letting her true feelings shine for once. It's a story all about the positivity of sadness and not being afraid to cry, and it shows. Next up, the incredible Mr. Incredible. A former superhero before he ends up working in insurance, tragic, he's someone who takes great pride in his heroics. From stopping thieves and supervillains to saving people from offing themselves and rescuing cats from trees, he's someone who just loves helping others. That said, due to his dedication to heroics, he keeps landing in hot water, be it from people suing him for trying to stop their attempts on their own life, or his bosses being selfish and not wanting to spend money on the insurance company. He keeps getting into trouble. Even with everything going against him, he still tries to do his best, even if it leads to mistakes down the road. That said, what knocks him down a bit is that Bob can be more focused on his role of being a hero than a family man at times. He was able to balance this out in the first movie, even when he was sneaking off to Syndrome's Island, but had a bit more trouble with it in the second movie, with him being very noticeably upset that Helen was chosen to represent the superhero movement and not him.
Better than me?
Still, he does try his best to be a good family man, and when the time comes, he's able to not only be relied upon to save the world, but also protect his family. For someone who can truly be a reliable ride-or-die buddy, we have Tow Mater next. He's a tow truck who, while yes, is simple-minded and can be childish at times, which gets him into trouble and knocks him down a couple slots, is the anchor of reality that Lightning needed. Compared to McQueen, Mater is more focused on seeing others for who they are and not their titles. It's this simplicity to life and its simple pleasures that makes Mater able to connect with Lightning and bring him down to earth. Not to mention his innocent and friendly desire to help others leads him to inadvertently become the perfect spy car, using his intelligence and attention to detail for the little things to lead to Miles getting found out. While Mater is one of the more casual and relaxed members of this list, it doesn't make him stupid and only serves to make him a dependable friend. Following the instructions in his wilderness survival guide to a T, we have wilderness explorer Russell. This young kid is looking for a chance to earn his wilderness patches and become a senior wilderness explorer. He targets Carl to help get his assisting the elderly patch. He's just an innocent kid who wants to be the best version of himself he can be. He's happy to keep Carl company during their trip to Paradise Falls, watches over Kevin, and tries to get her back to her children, even going by himself back to Charles Muntz to rescue her when Carl gets too fixated on saving his house. This shows that despite seemingly just wanting his patch, he does have a true sense of friendship and justice, not hesitating to do what's right. Despite being shown to not be the strongest person here physically, he still has enough morality here to be the strongest person mentally. He deserves the highest honor of patches there could be, the Ellie badge. Flying in way past his human version, we have the toy Buzz Lightyear. Unlike his inferior version, both morality-wise and movie-wise, this toy has trustworthiness and loyalty etched into his coding, not having any selfish thoughts nor desires like his human counterpart. He always prioritizes what's best for everyone else. Between him and his human version, this Buzz is also arguably a better and more compassionate leader. He still goes all the way to complete his missions, but what pushes him up is his patience and dedication to his teammates. He works effortlessly to rescue Woody, be it from Al after being kidnapped by him, or tracking him down after he didn't reach the RV after getting Forky. Sure, he does get a bit dumber in the fourth movie, which serves as yet another convincing argument that it shouldn't exist, but even when focusing on his voice box being his conscience, he still uses it to give him ideas on how to go about his mission, still focused on saving Woody and Forky. He's honorable, respectful, friendly, and dedicated to his missions. He's a true space ranger that his human counterpart could never quite be. His TV show counterpart, on the other hand, now that's a more fair comparison. Landing in the top 5, we have the superhero mother, Elastigirl. The superhero with her head the most tight on her shoulders, she's able to provide and care for her family to keep them safe. She willingly goes out of her way to try and keep her husband and children safe from Syndrome and his troops. The first movie may only really have her being someone more focused on her personal family life and obeying the new superhero rule in the movie until the plot threatens her family and implies that Bob's cheating on her, but she's still a pretty great mother. The second movie even stated that she has the lowest chance of causing property damage, perfect for returning to the life of a hero. Her goal in the second movie is to help superheroes become legal again while keeping her family safe and properly cared for. She has a strong sense of justice, even saving Evelyn to face proper justice instead of letting her die. The only real flaw we can point out here is that despite everything in the first movie, Elastigirl still doesn't trust Dash nor Violet to use their own powers. Sure, they had to stay hidden, but after proving themselves in the first movie, a little bit of freedom wouldn't be too hard to ask for. Maybe ensuring that they don't abuse their powers or that no one is looking at them when they do so could be a good compromise. Regardless, she still is a quality mother and a true superheroine. Just outside of the top three, we've got the rookie space explorer, Izzy Hawthorne. Despite her fear of space, this Space Ranger girl is one of the few survivors of Zurg's invasion, not getting trapped in the base alongside a few others. Taking cues from her grandmother Alicia and Buzz, she desires to be a Space Ranger like them. Unlike Buzz in this movie, she's much more respectful towards her other rookies and tries to keep the group together to take back the planet from Zurg. She's also able to put her fear aside to help out Buzz by jumping through space to get to him and Socks, keeping them from drifting out into space. Sure, she is a bit too eager to jump the gun and makes mistakes in her attempts to prove herself useful, but she's still a reliable friend and Space Ranger at the end of the day. She's the Space Ranger that Toy Buzz deserves. Now, if only we could say that about the real deal. For our Bronze Medal of Goodness in Pixar Heroes, we have the extraterrestrial vegetation evaluator, Eve. Coming to Earth, she runs into Wall-E on her quest to see if vegetation is possible on Earth. Sure, at first she's a little trigger happy, but after meeting Wall-E, she ends up forming a bond with him and is more than happy calming down and learning about Earth with him. After returning to Axiom, she is more focused on her mission than Wall-E, but given her directive, it's to be expected. Despite Wall-E's mistakes in the Axiom, she still genuinely cares for him, wanting him to get back home where it's safe. After seeing him save the plant and seeing her security camera footage of Wall-E caring for her when in sleep mode, she realizes that she does care about and frankly love Wall-E, trying to put him ahead more often, with Wall-E being there to help her continue her mission despite him getting constantly hurt, eventually only wanting to go back to Earth not to complete her mission of leading the Axiom there, but to restore Wall-E, fixing him up of any damages and even trying to help get his memory back. In the end, Eve's love for Wall-E leads to Wall-E not only getting his memory back, but her proving herself to be a true heroine, capable of loving and treasuring those close to her and never giving up. Reaching the Silver Medal of Goodness on the remake of the Pixar Heroes list, we have the original gold medal holder, Flick. We said it once and we'll say it again. A Bug's Life is one of Pixar's most unique films about workers rising against their oppressors. Flick's only real crime here is not immediately stepping up to Hopper to stop Princess Ada from taking the fall for him accidentally ruining the offering to the grasshoppers. However, he still does his best to try to make up for this, even offering to go all the way to the city to find warrior bugs to help the tribe. Even when he realizes that they're circus bugs, he still tries to find a way to work with them to stop Hopper. It took a terrible liar revealed scene in Exile to get him to stop, but once he realizes that Hopper is planning on killing Princess Ada, he goes back to help, even when his fellow ants hate him and want nothing to do with him, eventually getting Hopper killed by a bird. Even when he's on the verge of death by Hopper or the bird, Flick refuses to give up and works constantly to help increase his fellow ants' lives, refusing to give up on others, trying to help them even when they flat out want nothing to do with him, and managing to save his colony from the grasshoppers terrorizing the colony out of a true desire to be helpful are what helped Flick stand out and become a true dedicated hero, a legend to have stories told of throughout the ant colony. Our new gold medal holder has been discovered to be the Waste Allocation Load Lifter, Earth Class, aka Wall-E. This robot was originally just dedicated to the job of cleaning up the trash on the planet, wanting to obey his programming. However, he slowly has a growing desire for a romantic companion after watching some retro tapes, and when Eve comes to town, he gets smitten by her, wanting to show her a good time. After she notices the plant and goes into hibernation waiting for her ship to pick it up, Wall-E not only stays by her side to keep her safe, but even goes to space to get her. Sure, he does make some mistakes just like Flick once on the Axiom, especially in the repair bay, but they're just accidents at the end of the day. Even if his goal can be seen as selfish for just wanting to be with Eve, he's more than willing to share his curiosity and appreciation for others around him. Everywhere he goes, he makes a positive impact on someone's life, save for the main villain. From other robots and teaching them that there's more to life than just being servants to humans, to the humans and teaching them about looking around and enjoying life without all the luxuries the spaceship provides, he's able to make the lives of others better. What puts Wall-E above Flick, aside from that one moment of genuine, if brief, selfishness from the latter that he had when letting Ada take the fall, is that Wall-E was on Earth all by himself for over 700 years, and he never gave up on his goals. From doing his directive, to to being curious and excited to learn about anything that catches his eye, and even being welcoming and caring towards others he meets, even if they don't know him. He's always putting his best foot, I guess in this case, tread forward. He had every opportunity within the last 700 years to become a spiteful, vengeful robot hell-bent on making others suffer, like he did on a dangerous planet where he watched other Wall-E units die. But instead, he decided to become a beacon of positivity for others he met. It's this incredible optimism and dedication to making others happy, even letting himself get crushed just to help the spaceship return to Earth, that makes Wall-E shine. He's friendly and helpful, played a big role in saving humanity, brought life back to a dying, if not straight up dead planet, and never gave up on his goal nor others. For all of these reasons, we find it fitting that Wall-E gets the gold medal for Pixar heroes in terms of morality. Truly the best thing by and large ever created.